What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Hustle Kitchen Podcast. Today's guest, absolute special guest and a dear friend of mine, Ahmed Khalfan, Head of Sales and Marketing at GFH Properties Bahrain. Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Ahmed, we've had conversations before. So much has obviously changed in the last few years. And I think, do you want to give a little bit of introduction about yourself first?
Absolutely. I'm always looking forward to these types of discussions with you. Hussein, we go a long way back, and I'm pretty sure that when it comes to topics, this could be one of the most important and crucial topics to discuss. Of course, as far as the background that I can offer, I've had roughly 15 years coming to almost 20 years now, experience in the real estate market. I've been dabbling myself in investments and looking for a way to kind of grow my portfolio at a time when it's very important to do so. Yeah. This is the time where you can actually grow your portfolio. So that's the introduction I wanted to give you.
Okay, perfect. The one reason I really like talking to you is because you're the type of guy who puts his money where his mouth is. You don't just sell, you also buy for yourself. Best. So you believe in it. And when someone doesn't believe in it, then It shows. So, Ahmed, what has been going on over the last 2 years? We had a very optimistic conversation last year. I've personally stayed away from the real estate side, not as updated. What's been going on in Bahrain specifically over the last 2 years?
Basically, this is a life-changing situation.
Yes.
All of us have never experienced this ever before in our life, and we hope that we never experience it again.
Yeah.
A pandemic is a once-in-a-lifetime situation.
We hope.
Absolutely. And the fact is, I've been talking about this and writing about it, and I've been also considering what's been going on with investors' mindset, trying to provide facts that are now and realistic. So we make sure that when it comes to the buyers, the investors, the tenants, whoever is dealing with us in this market, that they know for a fact what's going on right now. Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. We used to. Now it's become a little bit unpredictable. But the fact is, we are currently, and to answer your question in terms of what's been going on, we have been in a spiral. There's been a lot of cases where property has been distressed, and in distressed meaning that the fact behind the owner of the property, and it's nothing to do with the property, the owner is facing financial issues, whether it's their business or their savings are being dwindled. The fact of the matter is, it's always the owner's problem and not the property's problem. Yeah. So we've had effects that has caused on the value of property, where prices have gone down.
So are owners defaulting on their properties at the moment?
Well, it's more like they wanna cash out.
Yeah.
So you have your property. You know that it's valued at a certain level, and you can part ways. You feel fine parting ways with that property now.
Yeah.
When it wasn't the case in the past.
Yeah.
So even thinking about selling your property already devalues the property. So just thinking about selling it.
Of course, because it's always been a buy and hold.
That's it.
Asset.
That's it. So it's not really that predictable now.
Yeah.
When it comes to buying and holding.
Yeah.
People are now thinking about their pockets. They're thinking about whether they can pay salaries if they're business people. People are starting to realize that they need a little bit of a cushion because they might lose their job.
Yeah.
There are all these cases where the fact that we're in a pandemic, puts you in a position of, am I at risk? Am I in a position where I need a buffer?
Yes.
So automatically, that became a situation that in the real estate market, developers, in terms of the business development, in terms of whatever is being offered in the market, needs to compete with property that would be considered, just made more available.
Yeah.
And cheaper.
Yes.
So what we started realizing is that, is this going to also impact the return on investment? Because the return on investment also is impacted through the rent.
Of course.
Rent is another story. Rent started to drop drastically.
Have they?
They have. And the fact is, we already know that Bahrain is a small market. It's good that we do have quite a number of nationalities that call Bahrain home, residences. And the fact that we've been offloading luxury, high-end, quite, let's say modern and Western style property in a market that does have foreigners that live in Bahrain, made it possible for us to go through a time that we would be considering to be extremely difficult, but we are doing pretty well.
Sales are still going on.
The only issue that we're facing right now is if we were to offer the property in terms of rent.
Yeah.
What rates are we going to be looking at?
Yeah.
Definitely lower than what you would be expecting in normal days. And the reason being is that now we're in a pool.
Yeah.
We're no longer in the ocean. The pool is Bahrain.
Yeah.
And only Bahrain.
Yeah.
So, there's no Saudi market where, the Aramcans, for example, can commute easily. That's closed. We don't have any hospitality-driven jobs right now. There's other sectors that are seriously affected, and most of those jobs are no longer available for now. And the fact is, if you are in a position where you need to rent and it's high-end property, you're going to be looking at quite a small segment in the market right now. You will be competing. But at the same time, you need to know the numbers are not really that massive in terms of property. So it's actually not so bad.
Can you give me an example? So like, where was it? Your GFH properties.
Yeah.
I would say the most luxurious, exclusive properties in the island. So normally when it comes to like high-end luxury markets, so like for example, if we look at the UK, you can't compare London, central London, with the rest of the UK. It just doesn't even follow any rules. So like high-end properties tend to have their own rules. So in your development, which is seaside, you got so much luxury around you. Where is a 2-bedroom sitting now in terms of rent, and where was it before, for example?
So it's gone down by roughly 20%.
Okay.
But it's still exceptionally higher, and it's being leased.
Yeah.
And it's exceptionally higher than what you could find in many locations around Bahrain.
Yes.
But because we are considered to be in the creme de la creme location.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by 5-star hotels. We have some of the best landscaping around, safest spots in town. Central, easiest to be commuted into and out from. And the fact that a 2-bedroom is going for 1,000 dinars, easy.
So that's still a lot. It hasn't dropped like crazy. Like it's still 1,000 dinars.
That's it. The fact that we are a tight community, the fact that the number of property that's available is limited, made that possible. We're definitely not Dubai.
Yeah.
We're looking at property in the hundreds, not tens of thousands.
Yeah.
So that makes a huge difference.
Of course.
And then you'll know that what we are offering is so exclusive that you can tell by the islands around you that there's nothing that's going to come and change the the name of the game.
Yeah.
Because that's just not in the books.
Yeah.
And we do look at a series of developments that are in other locations,
Yeah.
which in the future would be considered, okay, this is another town that
Yeah.
could be considered as a high-end luxury
Part of your own within.
outside of that.
Okay.
The thing is,
But under GFH.
we are looking at number of developments that we're going to be
Okay.
launching in 2022.
So you're still optimistic.
Very optimistic.
So
And-
it's still
and
growing.
This is why I thought that it's very important for us to look at the market always with a optimistic eye,
Yeah.
and always to find opportunities. I know that it's a terrible situation. We're in, 1,300 deaths due to the pandemic just in Bahrain.
Yeah.
And the fact that we were discussing before that this is more recent.
Yeah.
The deaths are actually happening more recently. So obviously that's extremely sad.
Yeah.
But at the same time we have to move on,
Yeah.
and we have to move on in a positive way and look at things in a very optimistic way.
See, what's been really interesting is that, with my friends in Dubai, right? So when the pandemic first started, people were worried, right? People were panicking. So, as real estate agents, let's say,
Of
selling,
course.
and, there's so much supply
Of
over there,
course.
right? And then something changed in last November, December, that now they're saying they're selling way more
Yeah.
than they've ever sold in
Yeah.
their lives.
I have actually an article. It's by Reuters that covered the Dubai market just recently. It was in May.
Yeah.
They expected that the growth, marking a U-turn in the expectations of prices
Yeah.
of property going up. They initially forecasted a decline of 2%
Yeah.
over a 2-year period. They're going up by 2.8% this year.
It's crazy, right? And it's because the whole world now wants to live in Dubai
Yeah.
because it's almost the only open place around that's tax-free as well. So they, I really wish that we had a bit of that action.
You see, the thing is with Bahrain, the numbers, they just don't relate.
Yeah.
When we're talking about numbers in real estate in Bahrain, what is being offloaded in the markets
Yeah.
is a fraction of what's being offloaded in Dubai.
Yes.
So you will always have an advantage if you own a property in Bahrain in terms of exclusivity.
Yeah.
And when I refer to exclusivity, I mean
Less supply.
there is no issue with supply and demand in Bahrain.
Yeah.
There is no case where, the towers are empty. They're not empty. They just don't want to be the owners themselves.
Yeah.
This example happens all the time. It comes up all the time. We know certain developments
Yeah.
that at night the lights are off.
Yeah.
That's not because they're not they're incapable of being rented.
Yeah.
The owners just don't want them to be rented.
Why?
They're weekend homes.
They're
So-
weekend homes.
So they
Okay.
literally bought the property. The owners, the GCC owners,
Yeah.
bought the property in Bahrain
As a vacation
as
spot.
a vacation spot.
Okay, so these are Khaliji-owned
Khaliji
properties.
owned.
So where are we now with international investors, Khalijis, let's say, or others? Are you still targeting them?
We are in communication and on regular basis selling to
Yeah.
them. The percentages have gone down due to the fact that it's just not physically possible to
Yeah.
have the same numbers as we did pre-pandemic. Post-pandemic is a very different story.
Okay.
We'll be looking at a huge influx of Saudis and Kuwaitis mainly. We have already been selling to Saudis and Kuwaitis
Yeah.
during the pandemic by just simply sending videos
Yeah,
on WhatsApp.
That's the way to go, right?
Exactly. But with
And do they buy? They
and
see a
do.
video and then they buy?
Absolutely. Numbers are less.
Yeah.
But it's expected. If I'm not allowed to
Go.
meet you or
Yeah.
to come and visit,
Yeah.
and I'm still interested in having a second home in Bahrain, I will still want to go ahead and find the best option and proceed.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be in the same numbers that you would expect pre or post pandemic.
So marketing wise, are you spending more of an ad budget targeting the GCC or Bahrain at the moment?
We are both. We are basically covering the entire market, including Bahrain's market, using social media by targeting our audience in a much more aggressive way than we used to. And it's been working very well for us. The fact that it's so organized, we're getting DMs, we're getting WhatsApp messages and calls. We no longer need to go out and find buyers. They're coming to us.
And they're okay to just digitally communicate.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you target Europe at all?
No.
Why?
We should.
Like, is it physically possible for them to buy if someone's sitting in the UK or Italy or Spain?
Absolutely.
It is possible.
Everything is possible.
They don't need to come here to buy.
They don't need to come here to buy.
So why is that never been targeted? And I don't ask you this. I ask every developer I sit with. It's like they're leaving this market which, for example, in Dubai, they all come from Europe, the customers, right?
Sure.
And the Europeans obviously know Dubai. Well, I mean, the whole world knows Dubai, right? But they see it as this like beach spot, tax-free, different lifestyle. But we offer that. We offer residency.
We don't offer enough units.
What do you mean?
That's the issue. I'm out already. I'm 95% done. Yeah.
On the residential
on the residential plots.
Okay, so
we're looking for a new development next year to launch.
Okay.
But it's still not going to be enough numbers for Europe and the West.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. It will never reach to the stage that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
That Dubai is going through.
Of course. But that makes a job easier, right? Because you don't need to sell as many.
Absolutely. So the Saudi market is enough, as an example.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we completely ignore or not go for those markets. A few years ago we went to Moscow.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago we were in Shanghai.
Like road shows, you mean? Like
absolutely,
trade shows?
Absolutely. And we were actually starting the process of signing up with the best road shows and brokers and agents in those markets, which are massive. One market alone could take over the entire
What was their
supply.
feedback when you were doing these road shows? What did they know Bahrain? Like they didn't?
They needed to be educated.
Okay.
We were ambassadors to Bahrain. We had the flag on our stand, and we made sure that we would be recognized.
Yeah.
And that we would always refer Bahrain to be next to Dubai, basically.
Where the Formula One is.
Where the Formula One is. That works sometimes.
Yeah.
But the fact is, we are not present in those markets because we don't have enough to offer. Simple as that.
So this is an actual thing? We don't have enough properties to offer the world?
We would be able to position ourselves in the way that a market like Dubai, and again, Dubai is a monster market.
Of course.
Mean, you're putting it alongside, Sydney, London, New York,
And they're going vertically high.
Absolutely.
The supply is all vertical.
Absolutely. So the fact is, there is a supply there.
Yeah.
In Bahrain, when it comes to developments that we have, we're equal to a town.
Yeah,
in Dubai.
Of course.
So, in the end, how much does that town in Dubai have as a budget to market itself and sell abroad?
Yeah.
That's how much we have as a market, as a whole market.
Okay.
And I think before we move on, I just wanted to highlight this.
Yeah.
This is a plus. This is a huge plus.
Because it should contain the value if
Absolutely.
there's not enough supply.
Absolutely. And you will be one of the very few who have this property to offer.
Yeah.
So that means that it's a cash cow.
So if we look at Bahrain as a real estate, the different types of properties,
Yeah.
you know, whether you're talking about villas and
Sure.
SAR or Rafah, or you're talking about these modern developments such as
Absolutely.
JFH, or just these traditional suburban village type places,
Sure.
what would you say is the best investment opportunity?
Small
What
ticket
type of
items, to be
small
honest.
ticket?
The thing is, I'm a studio type of guy.
Yeah.
You know, I would buy studios in different developments. I never like to go big. You know, I try to limit my risk. Sometimes developments don't fly, so I don't wanna be too stuck with that development. And the reason being is that Bahrain is known to have this type of mentality where, you know, if something's old, the value goes down. That doesn't make sense in real estate. It's actually supposed to go up.
You can break it and build in something new.
Or even the same development can last for 60 years.
Yeah.
60 years.
Yeah.
So that means that your money can be 6 or 7 times fold in terms of your investment in that property itself. But you're just going to have to extend your investment period. So what I like is going for high yielding, and we're talking about 8 to 10% ROI net on studios or one bedrooms.
You know, interestingly, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think previously I'd seen on Property Finder for like the rental market, the hottest area is Jufa.
The hottest area has always been considered as the most searched.
Right?
Yeah, the most searched location online is Jafar, followed by Sif.
Followed by Sif, right? And so, like, it makes sense to buy a studio or apartments in that side of town.
Jafar is buzzing
What
now.
What do you think of commercial real estate?
Also very attractive because of the fact that commercial real estate is usually considered to be limited when it comes to its positioning in a development.
Yeah.
And I mainly refer to retail.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I mean retail spaces.
Yeah. Those are considered like 10% of the size of the property.
And the yield is higher, right?
It tends to be higher. Yes.
Because, like, I remember when I had a restaurant, the shop I was renting in Tubli, which is not even a prime location, and there was no roads built at that time, and it was like almost 2,000 dinars.
Absolutely, and this applies to Bidaya, places like Sanabas. You have locations that are considered to be, you know, land prices are lower.
Yeah.
But the yield that you're obtaining from the commercial real estate is fantastic. Now, the thing is, you need to also position yourself in the best way. You can really imagine how your customer would actually be able to come in, and the commuting is very crucial.
Of course. And the thing is, you don't need to build anything. They build it themselves.
Absolutely.
It's like you just give them a shell.
You can give them a shell.
Just some concrete.
This is usually the case with commercial because the fact is you want to, you know, make sure that you also get a longer tenure. Yeah. So shell and core is the way to go for commercial.
How's it going on the commercial sides in your development now? Are they filled out yet, or
we are picking and choosing
the clients, right?
in a very And the fact is, it's excruciating when you have so much demand.
So you're turning people down.
You're turning 90% of them down.
You know what? That strip, it's on the water, it's on the marina, right?
Beautiful.
I visualize it as like a JBR almost in Dubai, you know what I mean? So I was like, and I'm like, you know, crossing my finger and saying, Ahmed, please rent them to the right people, you know?
Absolutely.
So you'd want to hang out there.
Absolutely, 100%. And the fact is, you know, we're making the point that, you know, we're not having any of the type of businesses that are really going to change the face of the development, like, you know, not make it family oriented or not make it too welcoming for, you know, families who, you know, would like to use this location.
I always imagined as the opposite, as an entertainment strip, to be honest.
Well,
you know
I
what I
mean,
mean? Because that is such a nice place.
You do have the hotels for that.
It should be like the Block 338 type venues. Move there, so to give people another option.
You do have the option for the hotels to open the spots that are linked to the hotels to offer that. But what I was mainly referring to is that, it's a 3-kilometer promenade.
Which is beautiful.
Beautiful, amazing location. You have to remember that there are around 500 residences around, which means that Block 338, it might be a little bit too much for the location, because a lot of people are actually living in that neighborhood, and we're not making it just for the neighborhood, so that yes, we do need traffic. So we're playing it in a very careful way, and we want to make sure that whoever is on board with us is literally our partner.
Yes.
And we have to make sure that that partner, some are international, many are local, but they do have a brand. They do have a notion of what a brand means. And that's what we're all about.
When are we looking to see that open up?
We actually are expecting the first 5 to open in the next 3 months.
Okay.
We've signed 7 so far.
Yeah.
And we've had extensions.
Is it because everything's shut at the moment that they can't open up?
Totally. I mean, the first few actually asked for multiple extensions.
Yeah. Which
just
makes
because
sense.
of the fact, it's just happening at the time when the lockdown is still in place. So it's expected.
So now, where do you see real estate? Okay, what are you telling your buyers now when they come to
buy,
you now?
buy.
And they're like, Ahmed, should I buy?
Absolutely buy. Absolutely
You're saying
buy.
absolutely buy.
You have a chance to ride the U-shaped curve of a growth, which is basically it goes down and goes back up.
So where are we in the U right now?
We're in the absolute bottom.
We're in the bottom.
Yep.
So this, if you're gonna
lowest
get it's the best price you're ever gonna get.
Lowest prices, best deals on wheels.
Yeah.
Best offers, free furnishing, guaranteed return. There's so many different options that we're offering right now, and the fact is, we are expecting, just like I mentioned earlier, that in the next 2 quarters, so it's by the end of this year, we will be back where we were a year and a half ago.
Okay.
At the start of the pandemic.
Okay.
So, and I don't encourage people to flip, because real estate is a long-term investment.
Yeah.
So buy as a cash cow.
Buy and hold.
Buy and hold. Make your property self-fund.
Yeah.
Let it fund itself. We have an offer.
That's when the rent can cover.
The payments.
Do you still have these free payment plans?
Correct.
And stuff?
Yeah, we have a 5-year payment plan, one of a kind in the market. I call it a self-funding plan, where you can only dream of this type.
But it'll only be self-funded after 5 years. When you
it's self-funding during the 5 years.
Right now, what's the percentage it's covering? Like
it's covering 40%, 45 to 50%.
Okay.
So if I ask you to consider a 100,000 dinar 1 bedroom, you're only paying 50,000 over a 5-year period.
Okay.
So
and they're being rented out. Okay. They're not going to sit quiet.
70. I mean, we have 70 companies that call the financial harbor home.
Yeah.
And they would be walking distance from their own apartments, and BIBF is opening up right next door. We've got a lot of different professionals who consider the smaller ticket units perfect for them. The 1 bedrooms, even the studios, and the yield that is obtained from that type of property actually covers a huge chunk of that payment that goes towards the property over 5 years.
Are you taking shared partnerships on the payment plan? So if a couple of friends came along and decide to buy the apartment together as an investment, they can put all their names on that?
Yeah, I had a few weeks ago 4 come in.
Okay.
One property.
And they get the 5-year payment
Absolutely.
plan? Okay.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. But now you said the stock's almost done.
Dwindling.
Does that include that central tower?
It does include the central tower.
That's full as well.
That's almost full.
But you have 2 towers next to it. What are they?
We are working on a hotel component that is going to be the 3rd of its kind in the master plan, which is going to be one of the towers. The other tower is a multi-purpose development, which is part of the Harbor Heights overall project. So it adds a lot of value to that monstrosity of a development.
Yeah. So they're not residential, though.
They're not going to be residential. They're not competing.
Okay.
There's going to be an amazing hotel concept that we're introducing, which includes hotel apartments, but
Yeah.
not just regular apartments.
Yeah.
So regular apartments, you know what you're in for. It's
Hotel
an annual.
apartments like an Airbnb? Or
Correct. I mean, it could be even managed by the brand or the
Okay.
franchise where the hotel is operating. So
Yeah.
that can go in their own chain.
Yeah.
And it goes into a pool, which actually allows for the owner of the property to yield from that pool. It's like, can we mention like the Marriott, for example?
Yeah.
It's like the Marriott.
Yeah.
It's like, you've got different chains globally. Some of the most successful ones that have a good yield
Yeah.
that owners can have on their own individual property within a full master plan is due to the large network that those franchises have
Yeah.
or those brands have, and you just become part of that, and
Okay.
you make money out of that type
Yeah.
of investment. I like the old-fashioned, yearly lease agreements that you have directly with the tenant.
Less headache.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's also this uncertainty factor that we are seeing right now.
No tourism.
Hospitality, So what's happening? So
Yeah.
the fact is, we did take the approach of apartments being the middle ground,
Yeah.
where the hotel rooms are maybe not that much in demand in
Yeah.
the next few years. But apartments are always going to be...
The one thing I never understood about Bahrain, speaking of hotel rooms, is
Yeah.
why are the hotels so expensive here?
Exactly. Exactly.
they're like triple the price
know.
of a hotel room in Dubai in the
That's
most
true.
luxurious place
I'll tell you why.
when we don't even have tourists.
I'll tell you why. It's because the same reason I'm telling you, if you buy property in Bahrain,
Yeah.
you're so unique that you can dictate
The
prices,
price. Yeah.
and you will get your property rented because there's so
No
scarce supply. So
Yeah.
the fact is, it's a supply-demand scenario, and I just don't understand people when they tell us in Bahrain that there's oversupply.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
Where? I mean, you go on Google Map and you'll find
Yeah.
the buildings. Where are they?
Yeah.
Where are the ones that they're talking about?
Yeah.
So we are very unique. We're considered a 5% of what is being traded in Bahrain.
Yeah.
So we're minute
Okay.
in comparison. When I read, for example, the reviews on quarterly basis of how much, or sometimes monthly, how many transactions, our transactions never amount to a big portion of what you see out there.
Yeah.
But it's because of the luxurious positioning, the fact that you're in a very specific location.
Yeah.
We're the Manhattan of Manama.
Yeah, so does that mean like the normal areas, let's say your more residential
Yeah.
areas further away, are they suffering at the moment?
Yeah,
So-
they are, because the fact that they failed to have an added value.
And I'm seeing so many houses for rent, right? And even like in SAR around my area,
will,
they've been
yeah.
sitting for rent for a long time.
They will, because what's so unique about them?
Yeah.
If you have a pair of shoes that have a special button that allows you to run faster,
Yeah.
or 10 other pairs of shoes that don't,
Yeah.
which one are you going to wear?
And you know what it is? The funny thing is, in these areas, they don't rent to Bahrainis. Which is
don't
a
rent to
which is a
Bahrainis.
problem as well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
I had a real headache with this, right?
That's true.
I'm Australian,
Sure.
but I want to put it on my mother's name because of the
Absolutely.
electricity
Absolutely.
difference, the
That's-
subsidies,
will
right?
allow a lot to reduction in terms of
Electricity, but it was
support we're
so
getting.
hard to find a place because they do not rent to Bahrainis.
that is a concern that it's been inherited generations. But
Yeah.
I believe that there's going to be, with the new developments that are happening with the freehold
Yeah.
market, which is what we're about as developers, that's not the case.
Of course.
That's not the case. So, I mean, yeah, definitely find what's more comforting for your own requirements.
Yeah.
And, if people have any concerns, like sometimes we get calls and messages about how expensive our property is. We are not cheap.
You're not cheap.
We're not cheap.
I mean, I think it's not that you're not cheap technically, but you know, for Bahrain, it sounds expensive.
We
It's
are
like if it was
expensive.
London, if it was whatever, we'd be like, that's cheap. But like for Bahrain, we're not used to
We're not
paying
used to it.
150,000 for an apartment.
But believe it or not, the most buyers in 2021, and
Yeah.
it's been a record year, are Bahrainis.
They're Bahrainis. Are
Because
they young Bahrainis?
They are young Bahrainis.
You know, because I feel like
They are young
older
Bahrainis.
Bahrainis want a villa.
Sure.
They have that traditional
Sure,
thinking.
absolutely.
And
They want land. They want
they
want sand.
Exactly. And I feel like, you know, like trendy locations are for more your 30s.
Sure.
Like what age range are you seeing?
You know,
Like,
when I go for Instagram posts and I sponsor them, I test and I keep testing it,
yeah.
and I keep going for older age groups.
Hoping they have more money.
Yeah, it doesn't apply.
It doesn't apply.
Once you go, in 28 range,
Yeah.
you start getting deals locked in faster, and the decision making is being done a lot faster than what we expected.
Is it their first homes mostly, or is it
Some not.
investment properties mostly?
Many are investors.
Many investors.
Many are investors.
Okay.
Because the fact is we're offering this 5-year payment plan, which allows, for just a portion of your usual capital that you inject in real estate to be, part of this plan. And it's a no-brainer, because what you end up doing is, like I said, the property is financing itself.
Yeah.
So how is it? It's a no. It just doesn't make any sense if somebody would think that it's a trick or there's something that is just not adding up. There's nothing. There's no
Are
trick.
there special requirements? Like, when you're getting a home loan, obviously they look at your salary, they look at this, look at
There
that.
aren't any
the deposits,
Absolutely.
whatever.
The fact is, because it's not financing,
Yeah.
it's a plan.
Yes.
So as a plan goes, you're dealing directly with the developer. So the
easy.
developer decides. There is screening done on a KYC, which is knowing your customer.
Of course.
And that's a requirement by RERA.
Yeah.
But the fact is, in the end, we're just breaking up the payments,
Yeah.
which are free, and there is no hidden charges or expenses.
Yeah. Which is amazing. So it's easier for them to get a plan than to get a home loan.
Of course. I mean, in the end, when you get a home loan, you're getting a mortgage.
Yes.
I mean, how complicated? Everybody knows that getting a mortgage is one of the most
Crazy
complicated things
interest,
you do.
so many
whole
requirements.
life,
It's a debt for life.
But in the end, we are supporters of mortgage financing.
Yeah.
We actually appreciate the availability of such tools. But we know that it's not easy to get.
Yes.
And there are lists that you should be part of. And if you're not, it's not.
That's what I'm saying. So you don't have these
There's
issues.
none of that.
Simple, you don't pay, we take your property away.
That's it. We already have your property.
Makes total sense.
Plus, we manage. So,
Yeah.
the fact is, we're going to give you the keys and we're going to take them back.
Yeah, exactly.
To manage it. So, we make you money.
Okay, Ahmed, what is your last takeaway on real estate in Bahrain? Next 6 months, you're saying we're going to see growth.
I wrote an article recently, a few days ago. It's going to come out in the upcoming report on Property Finder. And it's basically, it's called a post-pandemic boom, believe it or not, which is coming to the real estate market.
Yeah.
And how you should invest right now.
Okay.
And the fact is, why is it right now? It's because, as we were pointing out, you're in the bottom of the U. So I believe that with population growth, with what we are facing right now, with the fact that prices went down and are going to go back up because of the fact that we're out of what we were in.
Yes.
And I mentioned population growth is because usually, unfortunately, with the death toll that's been happening globally, almost 5 million.
It's very sad.
It's very, very sad. There's a bounce back.
Yeah.
There's a historic bounce back to cases like this as a surge in birth rate. So you will be looking at an increase in population. You will be looking at further demand in property because it's one of the 5 main
Yeah.
Basic needs in life.
Of course.
So why invest now, and what does it mean to invest now? Is that you made the right move at the right time.
Yeah, so this is basically the bottom of the pandemic price-wise. As soon as the country opens up again, we're hoping to see that boom come.
And the fact is, you should look at it with a long-term perception, because as I was pointing out, real estate is a very long-term game.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a quick buck, it's not your cup of tea, because you're gonna be a bit. You might get disappointed with how long things might take, but rest assured, it's gonna be one of the most supporting mechanisms that you can have in your life.
Yes.
It's the most straightforward passive income generator ever.
Absolutely. It's cash flow and it's secure.
Cash flow.
Okay, Ahmed. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you guys later.
Thanks, guys.